What is up, YouTube? We are back with another video. It's 2023. Happy New Year. And this year, we're taking YouTube seriously. We're going to the moon. We're on about 3,300 subscribers now. I want to get to 10,000 by the end of this year. Can we do it? Who knows? I know if I post once a week, we can do it. But the problem is posting once a week. And I really need to make sure my actions reflect my intentions. And by that, I mean, I need to make time and I need to plan to make videos because they're not just going to happen by themselves. And it's kind of something I've thought over the last few years that I'm eventually just going to make this banger video and it's all going to go wild. But it takes some planning, preparation, and obviously some investment time-wise to make either a sick edit or get someone else to help me film and all that jazz. So it'll be a range of educational stuff, some lifestyle stuff, maybe some fitness stuff. Who knows? I'll just try and share as much as possible. It always helps if you guys suggest what you want to see. So yeah, obviously below in the comments, leave suggestions as it does make my life easier. And as always, before we get into it, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. So as you'll have seen by the title, today's a Q&A. I've asked my lovely Instagram followers for some questions and they have given me some. This was very much off the cuff. I only put this thing out this morning. I've got a busy week. I thought if I don't do it today, it's probably not going to happen this week. And then before you know it, it'll be April and I'll have done 3 videos. So 1 a week is the minimum that I'm going for. So if I don't do that, please message me and say what's going on. So the first question is from Dan Tecchiodo. And I took this from Syntho actually. This wasn't directed for the Q&A, but it was a good question. And it was, how to capitalize off bigger gigs to continue growing as a DJ. I'm assuming here he means he's already getting some big gigs, so maybe at the bigger clubs. And he's wondering how he can then convert that into getting more gigs at maybe smaller parties in other cities and things like that. First things first is you need to make sure everyone knows you are playing at this gig. How can we do that? Well, social media. There is a number of platforms now. We've got Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, YouTube Longform, LinkedIn, Facebook. There is a lot of eyes on all of them, and we need to make sure people on there know what we're doing. If you're going to make some videos at the gig, you can easily repurpose these across all of the platforms. I would also think about, before the gig, really building up some kind of hype. Share some songs you're going to play. Share why it's a big gig. Be transparent with your following. On TikTok, I do these ones where I might say why it means a lot to me to play at this venue, share some tunes that I'm going to play there, try and get some content behind the scenes, basically just milk it. Milk it to the point where people are like, oh my God, we get it, you're playing there. Make sure everyone knows. As long as the content is good, people won't mind. Obviously, if you're doing shit content and spamming everyone, then it's a problem. But yeah, all I would say is try and get across all the platforms, capture some behind the scenes so it's actually quite unique and not just gig videos. And in general, spam, not too much, but you know what I mean. Just use your common sense and make some good stuff. Next up, Patson.Dale has said, thoughts on promoters putting clauses to stop DJs playing at other venues. Well, my friend, I'm going to drop a little bomb here. It's not always the promoters with these clauses. DJs don't necessarily want to take the gigs with the smaller promoters in the cities because that may then stop them getting the gig with the bigger promoter. It's a bit of a misconception here that it's always the promoters doing the blocking. The thing is, as a DJ, I see it from both sides. I'm a booker and an artist. Most people's North Star is the big one. We all know the big ones in each city. I don't want to name names. But if you go and play for the smaller promoter 3 months prior, you may then block yourself from playing the big one a few months later. It's happened to me before in a big city where the promoters then put requests in, the biggest promoter in the city who I've still not played for, and I ordered a gig. And he said, okay, we'll do next year. And then the next year came round and then he didn't have a gig for me. And then in the end, we're taking the gig for the small promoter again. So the lesson kind of here is for artists that you got to be, picky to an extent with your gigs, even early on. Not too early on. You'll kind of know instinctively, but just be aware that if you take the gig with the smaller promoters, it might then prolong when you get booked for the bigger one. But it's all part of the journey. And my view on it is, if you're undeniably good, the big promoter is going to book you no matter what. So don't worry about that. But if you're kind of someone who is really just not putting out great music, you have a bit of a spike in your career and then it stops and then the ship may sail, then you might miss out on the big gig. But if you're planning on doing things for a long period of time, I would not worry about playing a gig, then missing out on another promoter forever. But be aware, it is a thing. But in general, if the promoter does put a clause in a contract for an artist, I think it's fine as well. It's all about protecting yourself. At the end of the day, the events industry is fucking hard. And I think people underestimate this, that the ones that are surviving and doing well, fair play to them, because it's not an easy environment to succeed in. So I think you've got to protect yourself sometimes. And why would you put millions into an event, then go and let someone go and put the same artist 2 weeks before, or a month before, 2 months before? You're not going to. Unfortunately, it's a thing. It's annoying as well because we miss out on artists because they play other gigs, but I kind of respect the whole thing because we do a big festival as well as you and me, and I know that the whole thing is just, it is what it is. So that's my thoughts on it, but it's worth just mentioning the thing before that sometimes is the artist or the agent who is tactically playing you off. Rafi Piper said, any more instant classics occurring soon? I'm not sure what you mean by this. If you mean songs, Work It Out that I made could be an instant classic, seems to be going off. If you mean like event-wise, You and Me's got many sick events coming, but there's always instant classics on the way, I think. Julian AR_music, Julian R, I think I pronounced that wrong. How to make a living off of music? Well, I mean, the typical way would be to release music, get gigs, get paid from that. Most artists make the majority of their money from gigs. DJs get paid well when you reach that kind of boiling point, and then you start to play more frequently, and it very much compounds. So once you hit that magic number of, maybe getting 4 figures for a gig, you're probably then going to be playing twice a week. Then before you know it, you're kind of getting paid $2,000 a gig, and then it just goes up and up. Because the more you're playing, there's more demand. More demand means you can then charge more, and that's how the world works across any industry, whether it be trying to buy a car or anything. More demand that gets built up, then there's less supply, the price starts to increase. It's the same with DJs, because DJs can't be in 2 places at once. Bandcamp pays very well. I think people will be making quite a lot of money off Bandcamp now. But in general, I wouldn't necessarily think, how can I make a living off of music? The question should be more, how can I just make a living doing things I enjoy? I think it's a very good idea to try and upskill in something that you enjoy. So it could be like video editing, running paid ads online. It could be graphic designer, any kind of skill where you could be freelance, coding, web design, things like that. There's all sorts of things in 2023 which you can earn money doing. And you could do music on the side of it. I think just doing music is hard. It's very hard. And talking from my own experience, I don't think I just want to DJ just at the weekends. I very much enjoy different projects I work on. So I've got the YouTube, Syntho, You and Me, Hide and Seek, the podcast. I do a lot of different things. I think there's more people I'm speaking to now who are on the same page in terms of like they actually enjoy having a bit of a diverse streams of income. So it just means you're a bit more robust if anything were to happen with the old DJing thing. But yeah, there is loads of different ways. But just typically off music, most people just do the gigs and obviously Bandcamp. But releasing music's probably not that lucrative in terms of the Beatport stuff, and Spotify neither. But you could do remixes, but again, it's pocket change. So Dino Magino has said, best ways to promote as an upcoming brand/label aside from running ads. Okay, this year I think is the year of organic content. I think it's been going this way anyway. I think paid media is just not scalable, even though you can put infinite money on the table. You need people to talk about your brand. So ultimately, you need to make content which is worth sharing. What was the last thing you shared from someone you didn't necessarily know? Think about that. Why did you share it? What about that content made it shareable? And try and replicate that. I mean, TikTok now, even like a year ago, I thought maybe the hype had peaked, but it's still rising. You've got a huge platform there to go and do creative things. Twitter's definitely on the rise again. If you're talking about your brand, like you could do anything from Q&As with the crew. You could do a live mix series where it's actually video. Talk about the tracks on the label. And if you can't think of interesting things to talk about of the music and the crew, etc., maybe you're not that interesting, and you've really got to think, okay, why are we not interesting, and become interesting, do cool shit. It's something you really need to think outside the box for and not really follow everyone else. I think the electronic music scene in general is probably lagging in the whole marketing game, if I'm honest, because I look at this from a bit more of a tech view now with the Syntho app. So I see what other people are doing. And I do not think that the electronic music scene, well, the underground scene anyway, is keeping up with the marketing trends. So be a pioneer of that space and look to grab it by the horns. Go and look at, the fashion industry, all sorts, even like food. How are they marketing their products? How are they talking about their thing? And more commercial artists, then try and do it on a budget your own way. I remember once I was on holiday somewhere and I met someone that worked for, I think it was Burberry, and she was like a director on set for new products, etc. And they had this thing was a pair of shoes, and there's someone on a treadmill, they were walking, and then it was a TikTok, and then the video was playing, and the pair of shoes was just changing like to the beat, rapid, all these different pairs of shoes from the new collection. But even things like that on a budget with a record somehow, I don't know, you can get creative if you go and look at what some of the big dogs are doing, who obviously got infinite budgets, but then try and do it on a more friendly scale. Jack D. Stevens, who's your dream back-to-back in what setting/club? You know what? I'm going to go Jamie Jones, Amnesia Terrace, closing it with the sun coming up. Easy. Minish_KR, importance of the first 3 songs in terms of DJ change moments. So I think you're meaning there, how important are the first three songs you play when you're starting your set? You know what? I'm going to give you a bit of an answer that you probably don't expect. It's not that important. It is in the moment. But one thing I've learned is that, if you don't quite nail the vibe right away, no one remembers the first 3 songs of the set. They usually remember the end or the peak bit when it was going off. Obviously, if you absolutely nail the intro, then people will talk about that. But if it doesn't go as well as you expect or as well as you plan, I would not worry. I would still roll with it. And just remember that people will talk about the peak moments, after an hour or 90 minutes or so. So I would not worry too much about that. It's obviously important, but it's not the be-all and end-all of a good DJ set. Something I tell myself now is if I play a track that I'm not 100% happy with, and I think, I got that vibe wrong, I'm like, no one will remember it. No one will remember that moment. Just crack on, and they remember the good bits, Most people only ever remember like 2 or 3 tunes from a DJ set, if that. So if you do fuck one up, do not worry. Jake Jaggard has asked, what are you most looking forward to in 2023? I think it's going to be the Syntho app and seeing it unveil, because we've been working on it now for maybe 16, 17 months. I've really put everything mentally, physically into this thing. I've risked a lot. I've really just been not putting my life on hold, because I've really, really enjoyed the battle, the decision making, the everything involved with it. I've really loved. So that's one thing I keep telling myself is this is the good bit. I'm kind of waiting for it to take off and go absolutely mad. It's doing really well actually so far, but I need to remember this is the good bit. The climbing up the mountain is the fun bit. So there's not really going to be a point where I sit there and go, now I'm going to be happy. But yeah, seeing that progress more into okay, now we've arrived is probably what I'm most looking forward to. As there's still uncertainty, we are growing at a very good rate. Last week was way better than I expected. And each day is just very much on the computer, on the emails, checking how it's going, brainstorming new ideas, more content, more features, getting feedback. It's an ongoing process, but I'm really looking forward to seeing that in full force once the news feed's out, direct messaging's out, and we've basically just got the actual idea into the world. In terms of gigs, I think it's going to be a big one. We'll see, though. It is what it is. I think last year went well. I'm not sure if this is going to be the year for the gigs. I think we might be one more year off just because of the way it panned out last year. I think it was a bit of a weird one in general, like with the first full year of clubs being open. We will see. And then You and Me has got an incredible calendar lined up. That is very, very exciting. And I think You and Me could be the year for You and Me to really go up. But we'll see. We'll see. I take everything in my stride, and I'm excited for any opportunities that do come. So Michael Transparent has asked, do you think hardware is essential in making tracks that could be played out in the clubs? No. A lot of tunes I've released have only been inside the box. I think there's a massive movement now of producers going back inside the box. I've heard a few names who I would have thought are just analog based who do it inside the box. A lot of people now are sampling, just old records, and it's not new this, but loads of people are just using these old samples and making the tracks that way. And they sound analog, so you do not need to get loads of hardware, says the guy with all this behind him. But A lot of it's just for show, to be honest. I just like collecting it, and I've not bought anything in a while now. I just went for a phase of buying a lot of gear because I was pretty hooked. But to be honest, I do have thoughts about just going back inside the box between me and you guys. CMR, I think this is Cameron Clifton it's meant to be, but it's been shortened with no vowels. How long have you been producing for? I've been producing since I was 16/17. I'm now 27, so 10 years, give or take. Jamie AITK, strategies for maintaining energy in a set and know when to mix it up. You know what? When it comes to DJing, I'm very, very skeptical about doing any tutorials or things. It's a feeling very much, I think. Once you can beat match, it's just all about understanding yourself and trying to explore what you think works. I don't really think I can say this is what you should do in this moment. I think the strategy should be to know your songs well. The better you know the songs in your bag or record box, the easier it's going to be. And when to mix it up, again, it's all about your judgment, and that's what makes a good DJ. They know when to mix it up and when to build and all them kind of things. So that's a question that I can't really give a definitive answer to because I do not believe there is a definitive answer. Abel Budding, what's your favorite plugin? You know what? I've been using Diva again. Diva's really cool. I like SQ80 by Arturia. And I really like the Galaxy Tape Echo by UAD. I like the Korg SDD Delay by UAD. UAD have got really nice plugins, so I'd recommend checking them out. You can now get them on a subscription. I really need to get myself an affiliate link sorted so I can get some money from referring all of you guys and girls to these plugin websites. And I'm sure them guys, like Trillion and Omnisphere, must be wondering why they've sold so many in the last 2 years, because I'm telling you now, I reckon I've sold at least 500 Omnispheres or Trillions, maybe more. Final question from HB95. Do you have any future plans to take you and me and hide and seek abroad? We have the plans internally. We've not made any plans externally yet. We've taken you and me to Ibiza before, but I think there are still things to do in the UK first. We'll go abroad this year, I think. But I think really conquering your homeland is a really good thing to do first. And we need to really conquer London, I think. Maybe do some other cities. But yeah, I think you and me is on the way up. I've really got a good feeling, especially after our New Year's Day party. So keep your eyes peeled. There are a few, we do get offers and stuff like that, but sometimes it just doesn't really make sense. When the time's right, the time will be right and we'll know. But if there's anywhere you think we should go, please leave a comment below and I would love to chat and discuss. So guys, that's the end of this Q&A. Some good questions, and maybe do these maybe quarterly. If you've got any questions I could do a longer video on, pop them below. The more suggestions, the better. Please like, comment, subscribe. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Peace.